Good evening, and welcome again, brothers and sisters, to another edition of Spiritual Transformation, getting into spiritual shape, creating a better new you, strengthening the family edition. Welcome to all of you. I'm getting that there's some inclement weather across the area, and so, I apologize if the internet is intermittent or it's not doing what it should be doing, or you're experiencing some technical difficulties. I do apologize for that, but I want to welcome you to another edition of Strengthening Families. We've been talking about the young ladies and talking about what our young girls need. And we have been talking about what their value is and those types of things. We're going to continue in that vein, and we're going to discuss a little bit further what it means to mentor and what it means to model the Christian behavior in front of our young ladies. Our young ladies are, our Black young ladies are, um, you know, they're unique. Our daughters are bombarded with messages that try to distort their perception of self-worth and identity. And so, today, what I want to talk about tonight is embracing identity, understanding our Black daughters' worth and purpose. And so we talked a little bit this morning about what they need, and we'll continue to talk about some points concerning the identity of our daughters and what their worth and praise and purpose is in God. One of the things that we do have to teach our young ladies is that they are created in God's image. And so let's look at Psalm 139. And this is a great psalm, especially when we think about human beings and who we are. Verse 14 in Psalm 139, it says, and let me share it with you. Psalm 139. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. This is a call. This is an anthem that speaks to the uniqueness of our daughters and their self-worth. Our Black daughters need to know that they are fearfully, that they are wonderfully made, and that they are made by God, and everything that God made was good. This psalm also tells us that we are unique and beautiful in God's eyes. Now, society may try to tell our young ladies that they're not good enough or that they need to change to fit in. But the truth is that they are perfect just as they are, as God made them. Now, when our Black girls understand that they are created in God's image, when they understand that they can confidently walk and embrace their true identity as a woman of color, as a Black woman of African descent, and can accept everything about them, not as an alternative, but as this is who God made me to be, then we'll be making great progress. See, we all know that slavery led to a collective and traumatic loss of self-esteem among Africans throughout the diaspora, right? And you know it continues today. I've heard negative comments, and these are some things that women have to deal with. And I've heard them. She's too pretty to be Black. Girl, do you pass the brown paper bag test? I'm glad that baby didn't come out too dark. You stayed in the oven too long. Damn, you ugly. You a Black beat, beat, beat. She got good hair. She has pretty eyes. I'm reading from my trusty, some things that I've heard. Your hair straight as a ruler. You got dog hair. What's your grade of hair? Does your hair blow? Your hair look like cotton balls. I need to put bleach in the bath water to get lighter. Don't get mad at me because I'm lighter than you. The blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. She thinks she's something with that old pointed nose. My boyfriend left me for that old high yellow girl. Your skin is dirty. Rub the black off you, girl. My boyfriend left me for a white girl. Don't marry Black. I want to marry light so I can have pretty and cute babies. I dreamed I woke up lighter. You ain't nothing but a tar baby. You wear white for weddings and black for funerals. Dark girls are just good for sex and nothing more. Nobody wants to marry a dark person. These are things that our girls have to live with. That's why they need to know that they're fearfully and wonderfully made. And when our daughters can understand that they are created explicitly in God's image, and that nobody has no heaven or hell to put them in except for God, and when they can understand that verse 14 of the Psalm is praising God because they are fearfully and wonderfully made, they realize who made them. And he goes on to say, my substance in verse 15 was not hid from thee when I was made in secret and curiously wrought to the lowest parts of the earth. Thine eyes did see my substance, yet being unperfect, in all thy book all members were written, which in continuance were fashioned, when as yet there was none of them. And yes, like Pastor David says, they need to know that they matter more than people think. Matter of fact, that leads me to say this, and thank you, Doc, for that reminder, because that is true. And that leads me to that next point, that we've got to teach our daughters that they are loved unconditionally. Ephesians chapter 3, verses 18 through 19 says that we may be able to comprehend with all saints what is the breadth, length, and depth and height, and to know the love of Christ, which passes knowledge, that ye might be filled with all the fullness of God. And here's the deal. Our young daughters, our Black girls, may face rejection, discrimination, all those things, but they need to know that they are deeply loved, not only just by God, but that they are loved unconditionally by us. And when our daughters know that they are unconditionally loved, they can stand strong in the face of adversity and they can live out their purpose with courage. See, the first part of this concerns me when Dr. Davis says that they need to know that they are loved and that people care for them more than they know. It starts with words of power and praise. You got to understand that you can destroy mothers, fathers. We can destroy our children with our words. Proverbs 18:21 says, what? Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Words can cut sharper than a knife. A parent can say something to a daughter 5 years of age, and at 50, she will still feel hurt from what she went through at 5. It hurts me to hear a mother cuss their daughter out and then minutes later think that she can remove the pain with a hug and a slice of cake, or let's go on a shopping spree. You got to realize that there should be a ratio between your praise and criticism. What you say can go a long way. It goes a long way. And just think, if you had a ratio of 0 times for praise and 5 times for criticism, if you did that every day for 30 days, you would have criticized your child 150 times and not given one comment. If you only talk to them and engage them when they're doing bad, then that's all negative reinforcement. That's all negative. Imagine to raise a balanced child. It would be one compliment for one negative thing. But if you want to overcome that, 2 positive things for one negative thing. So that's better than 1-to-1. But to really be an encouraging parent, you've got to at least say 3 positive things to the ratio of 1 negative thing. Just to tie it and to overcome it and then to be a positive reinforcer. Imagine how negative things made you feel. Our young ladies need to know, number 1, that God loves them. They need to know that you love them and that you care. That you love them and that you care. Now, let's look at another piece of this. Because for every criticism we are given, we have got to learn how to give words of encouragement and praise. If you want to produce a superstar, if you want to produce a very accomplished and secure daughter, 3 praises to 1 criticism. And here's the next thing. How do we know how much you care? We know how much you care by how much you listen. How well do you listen to your daughter? We know how we talk at them, but how much do we listen? Many times when someone's speaking, we are thinking about what we're going to say next. What we going to say next. But how many of you really think about it? How many of us really listen to our child well? I'm talking about letting them know that they're fearfully and wonderfully made. We understand that. We also understand that in knowing that they are fearfully and wonderfully made, that they will come into a love for themselves. But in order for them to love themselves like that, there must be a love that they are taught and shown through your actions. One of the actions that you take to let your Black daughter know that she's unconditionally loved is not to reject her, because she's going to be rejected in the world. But she needs to know that she's deeply loved by God and then by you. And then how do we know that? Your actions will be praise. You will give her words to empower her life. Don't destroy your daughter with your words. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. Speak life into her. And then balance your praise and your criticism. And then, how well do you listen? How well do you listen? And a lot of times, we're thinking about what we're going to say next when somebody's saying something, and so then we miss something in the transmission. We have to stop doodling. We have to get off of our cell phones. We've got to push off the internet, stop watching TV, stop playing the game. Sometimes stop eating, because there's some stuff that you'll sit there and you'll be eating and you won't catch it because you're thinking about how good that pork chop and that those vegetables are, and the bread and all that stuff, macaroni and cheese and collard greens and cabbage and stuff. And then somebody say something and you say, huh, what'd you say? And then some stuff will make you put your phone down and your fork down at the same time. So you want to make sure you're hearing this person. But good parents are effective listeners, y'all. And they actively listen. They listen to not only what's being said, but what is not being said. And then they listen to the heart and the passion and the feeling behind what's being said. Because sometimes there's a difference in I don't want to go outside today and I don't want to go outside today. That's a total difference. Even though the words were the same, the meanings were different. And so they listen. We've got to learn to listen to our daughters. Good parents listen. Now, we know girls are very emotional. And so it behooves mothers to not only listen to what they are saying, listen to the emotions, the feeling, and the heart that is behind the words. This lets people know that they are loved unconditionally. When you praise them. Now, I'm not saying give them fake praise, but I am saying, remember, for boys, they need affection, appreciation, and affirmation. Girls need to know that they are heard, that they are loved, that they are seen, that they're important, and that they matter, and that especially that they're being heard. This is how you raise a godly young lady. These are the considerations that we need to look at. So then we know that the young lady is created in God's image. Number 2, she should be loved unconditionally. Number 3, our girls need to know that they are called to a purpose, that they are called to a purpose. And I know the context of Jeremiah 29. I know the cultural context and the historical context behind Jeremiah, the passage in Jeremiah 29. And y'all know what it is. But I love this passage. So this is, the background of this text, real quick, is basically Jeremiah tells those that were taken away in Babylon, he says basically God is going to bring them back into the land, and he is encouraging them here, and then he's telling them what God says. God says, "For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end." That's one of the greatest scriptures, I believe, that stands out to me. In the context of back then, God brought the exiles back into the land, and he wanted them to know that he has thoughts of peace. What's the opposite of peace? War. He says, I'm going to bring you thoughts of peace. What's the opposite of evil? Good. What's the opposite of expected? Unexpected. Your end is expected. In other words, I'm in control of it. I think good thoughts toward you. Inside, I got some things that I want you to know. I want you to have peace. I don't want anything evil not evil thoughts, to give you an expected end. I got something waiting on you on the other side. I got something waiting for you that I've stored up for you. You might can't see it. It may not be visible now, but I have it there for you. And the same thing, like God spoke to them through the prophet Jeremiah, God speaks to us through Jeremiah, through the corridors of time, to our ears here in 2024, for those that have been held captive, those that may have been held down by life, those that have been the less fortunate, those that have been at the end of the line. Guess what? I got some things for you. I got thoughts for you, things that you don't even know that I have inside of me, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. I got something that I have planned for you. This is speaking to us. It speaks to our daughters. It speaks to each and every one of us. But in this context of this lesson, I think that these are the thoughts that God has for our daughters, because they have a unique calling and purpose in life. Jeremiah 29:11 tells us that God has plans to prosper and not to harm, plans to give them hope and a future. It is very important and is detrimental that our daughters understand that they have a specific role to play in God's kingdom, and their gifts and talents are needed. We need young ladies to be in the choir. We need young ladies to teach other young ladies. We need young ladies for Vacation Bible School, to serve in the church on different ministries. If they can sing, why are they wasting their voices? If they have the gift of hospitality, then let them have the greeters ministry and let them be the faces that would greet people rather than some of these grouchy old people. It says that young people can serve here and they are living out their purpose in the kingdom. Even with working with other children, praise dancing, worship leading, whatever it may be. When our daughters embrace their calling and live out their purpose, they can make a significant impact in the world and glorify God with their lives. And I'm going to tell you, you've got to talk about this. What are you and your daughter talking about at home? Are you talking about her future goals? I know the thoughts I think toward you, thoughts of peace, not of evil. Are you talking about, where she's going? We ask boys all the time, what college you going to? Where you going to play football? Where you going to play basketball? And then we turn around and we speak to our girls like they a leftover afterthought and say, what you going to do with yourself? There's a difference, a big difference in asking, how was your school today? And what did you do in school today? Start with me at your first period and walk me through the 7th period of the day, or each period that you had today. All I'm saying is, it's better to ask a question than to not know the answer. Make sure you listen to what they're saying. When daughters know the most important part of the conversation is about them and what they think and feel, they'll thrive and blossom. Make them feel like their opinion matters. Girls need to feel important. They need to feel like they are a part of the buzz. They need to feel like they're included in the family and expected to be able to give valuable input in the family and not just be quiet and not be heard. Mothers especially need to convince girls that they are a significant and most important part of their life beside their husband. Why? Because mothers have sometimes mothers can be harder on daughters than they can be on sons. And sometimes mothers and daughters need to have that special bonding so they won't be at it and back and forth. Yeah. Not only do you have to talk with them and talk about the thoughts that God has toward them, about their future, the expected end, to give you a future and expected end. When you think about that, you also, once we start talking and dialoguing with our daughters, Then I think the next important factor is trust and truthful communication. Let me ask you a question. Can you trust your daughter? Does your daughter tell you the truth? Now, I'm going to tell you, it's very unfortunate when you cannot trust your daughter and you don't know for sure if she's telling you the truth. See, integrity is taught in the formative years as a toddler from like 0 to 2 or 3, right? That's when you are actually teaching to trust and to tell you the truth, to be honest, to have great integrity. The sooner you teach your daughter to tell the truth, the better. And don't do anything else with your daughter. If you don't do nothing else with your daughter, please make sure that you can trust her and that you can count on her to tell you the truth. The best way to make sure that she does this is to do what? You tell her the truth. In other words, be a trustworthy parent. You can't expect the truth when you lie. You can't expect the truth when you tell more lies unpathologically or pathologically than the law will allow. How you expect her to tell the truth? You're a good liar. Just think of the great lies that you've told. Then just think they can lie even greater. If you want her to tell the truth, you got to tell the truth. You've got to be honest and age appropriate, but you got to learn to tell the truth. And then when they do tell the truth, don't penalize them to the point where you make a zero defect environment, because if you make up a zero defect environment, they are going to tell lies because they will never be able to be 100% perfect. Truth and trust should be reciprocal between mothers and daughters. Truth and trust, or the lack thereof, are going to cause a problem in any major relationship in the first place. You know, let's look at something. What do mothers and daughters get into it over? Clothes, makeup, jewelry. Some mothers I've heard threaten their daughters: if you wear my blankety blank clothes again, if you take your blankety blank in my makeup again, if you blankety blank wear my jewelry again, you're going to have to leave this house. Ain't no room enough for two grown blankety blank women up in this house. One of us going to have to get out of here. We can't be under the same roof. So how do you handle these situations when they happen? Do you do it in an authoritative way, an authoritarian way, a permissive way, or a neglectful perspective? How do you do it? Daughters become confused when you cuss them out on one day, then on Tuesday you do it again this way. On Friday you give them another answer. So you got to be consistent. Then I'm going to ask you, do you model the same type of dress and clothing that you want your daughter to wear? Because ironically, some mothers use their daughter's clothes, makeup, and jewelry more than the daughter uses their clothing, makeup, and jewelry. Sometimes they like to wear what's in their daughter's closet more than they want to wear in their own closet. Some mothers refuse to dress modestly. How can you tell your daughter to turn it down, tone it down, and keep it churchy when you're not keeping it churchy. You know, I was once told that you can't be sexy and spiritual at the same time. I personally know that you can be sexy and spiritual, but there's a time to be sexy and you're spiritual all the time. So then you spiritual sexy. Your sexy never overtake your spiritual, because your spiritual is supposed to drive your sexy. Yeah, that's true, Sister Johnson. You're right. It is true. Mothers are usually closer to their boys, and dads are usually closer to their girls, and dads are usually harder on the boys, but they light on the girls, and then it usually be the mothers are hell on the girls, and then lighter on the boys. Sons can't do no wrong, and daughters just get the tongue lash. And I think it's because you see yourself in them. I think when we see boys, we see ourselves in them. And we see us when we were 5. We see us when we were 10. We see us when we were 15. And we know what we were capable of. And we say, boy, I see that in you. And we try to shake it out of them. We try to beat them, get it out of them. Because we don't want them to end up like us. All right? But I want you to also think about this. And this is real. We've got to teach our daughters, mothers, by example. What are you teaching your daughters about men and family responsibilities? When you don't wash the dishes, when you live in a nasty house, when you ride around with food bags and French fries and dried up ketchup in between your seats, what are you teaching your child, your daughter, about being a clean woman? When you got shoes all over your closet, when you are a hoarder, what make you think your daughter's going to turn out in there? What man want a woman that's going to throw underwear everywhere? What man want a woman that don't know how to wash her clothes? What man going to want a woman that, stack the dishes in the sink and don't know how to wash them? I'm talking about, I ain't talking about living together. I'm talking about you bring a set of skills with you from the house that you come from to the house that you're going to build. And you got to teach her something. Remember, the older women are to teach the younger women how to keep house. I want you to understand. Ain't no woman, you don't want to marry nobody you find out she was a dime piece, but then when you get to living with her, she lived tragically, like she in the junkyard with Fat Albert and the boys. Yeah, man, There are some things you have to teach them, how ladies are supposed to clean, take care of their bodies, all of these things. You got to do that. I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. Let me get back to the lesson here. And what are you teaching them about black men? I'm telling you, our young ladies are not going to love themselves unless they love also the men that created them. What are you teaching your daughter about men? What are you teaching them about dressing? But what are you teaching them about men? What are you teaching your daughter about her father who may or may not be present? Some women are so angry at the fathers of their daughters. Some mothers are angry at black men in general. Please don't destroy the relationship your daughter could have with her daddy or a man because of your bitter and historical feelings about men. In that movie Comeback Dad starring Charles Dutton, the mother and father had divorced. The father sent letters to his daughter every month, but the daughter never responded. She hated her father. She was angry at her daddy. She thought her father didn't love her. But it turned out that she never responded to her dad because she never received the letters that he sent. Her mother never gave them to her. So mothers, are you teaching your daughter how to love their fathers, how to love black men? Are you teaching her to hate her father and to hate black men? Are you teaching your daughter how to make it with or without a man? What lesson did you teach your daughter when you allowed your boyfriend to spend the night, to move in, to be laid up with you while they in the house? Words are powerful, but pictures create 1,000 words. Have you ever told your daughter ever that all men are dogs? That men cannot be trusted? Well, if you're telling her that men can't be trusted and all men are dogs, what are you saying about your daddy? What are you saying about your daddy's daddy? Men cannot be trusted. Always keep you some mad money on the side. Be always prepared for him to leave. Are you teaching your daughter to say no when it's time to say yes? Teaching your daughter to say no when it's time to say no, and teaching her to say yes when it means yes? Have you turned your daughter into a nanny? Have you turned your daughter into a babysitter? Have you turned your daughter into a maid? Have you turned your daughter into a cook? I'm all in favor of young ladies learning responsibility. Every child needs to learn how to do chores, make up a bed, clean a house, do laundry, sew, iron, and cook. That goes for male and female. The problem is when the parent absolves themselves from the parenting process and then puts the child into puts that burden of parenting onto the child to parent themselves. That's what I call stealing a little girl's childhood. Is your daughter raising her brothers and sisters? She ought not be. That's stealing their childhood, and it's unfair because it will make them a dysfunctional adult. Do you really love your daughter unconditionally? Because I've seen so many people say they love their children unconditionally, and the first thing you got to get out of here. You can't never come back here. Does your daughter know that she can always come back home? I'm going to ask you a question. Are you trying to live your life precariously through your daughter? Are you trying to make her go to cheerleading, make her do everything under the sun because you didn't do those things when you were in school? Or you didn't have the courage to do those things, and now You've raised her to be so independent that you want to live through her and through her victories. Are you helping your daughter to develop her goals? Can your daughter give a different career for each letter of the alphabet, excluding sports or entertainment? Ask her to do it. Have you personally tried to expand her borders? We have all these high expectations for these boys, but what are we doing for our girls? You cannot always protect her from falling off a bicycle. But what you can do is teach her how to ride it and how to wear safety equipment. But when she's falling, she's the one that's falling. She's going to have to learn what to do when she falls. Part of what we've not done with our young ladies is teach them what to do when they fall. God's got a plan for them. I'm really trying to help us understand that we treat our boys and our girls different ways, and we should, but we got to learn what our young ladies need. Have you taken her all over the city? Have you taken her to a play? Have you taken her to a museum? Shown her some of the finer things in life? Have y'all ever eaten at a 5-star restaurant or stayed in a 5-star hotel? Have you shown her luxury houses? You can't protect them from everything. You can't protect her from the bullies in the neighborhood or in the classroom. You can't protect her from her boyfriends who will break up with her and treat her disrespectfully. Tell your daughter you will make mistakes, but let's avoid the big ones like pregnancy. Let's avoid these diseases. Let's avoid crime. Let's learn who God is. Let's learn what it is to be a young lady that is spiritually inept. Teach her right from wrong. There are too many females in prison because they were, holding their boyfriends' guns or drugs. Your daughter needs to know it's one thing to fall off your bicycle, but it's another thing to become pregnant at 12 and incarcerated before your 18th birthday. We got to tell them that. We have to have long, intense conversations with our daughters about the big things and the small things. This is what we got to do. Our daughters are so valuable. Our daughters are so unique in God's eyes. And Dr. Davis, you're right. The dad does play a big role in his daughter's life. This is just based on what the mothers are to do. Daddy's got a different role. And we'll talk a little bit more about his role next week. Daddy does have a big role. He has a huge role, especially in how she sees herself and how she is loved. There ain't hardly nothing a daughter can do wrong that a daddy's heart won't melt for her. Even when he's angry and upset, it's really more of a hurt that he had more expectation for his little princess than it is anger. Now, with the boys, we be angry. Because 9 times out of 10, we're angry because we done told that bonehead, boy, I told you what to do. You want to just go upside his head. You want to just hit him upside his head. And yes, Dr. Davis is right. He does. The father, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about that. That's a whole class. That's a whole class. That's a whole, let me tell you, a whole research has been done on the relationship of fathers and daughter. But I want these mothers to understand you got a part in here too. And it is difficult when mothers are bumping head, when the mother is bumping the heads with daughters. Can you imagine being 70 years old and your daughter still comes to you at 50 and tells you things and you know that she's telling you the truth? And why is that? Because she told you at 10 and you were 30. And you can't penalize her when she's telling the truth because she's going to be afraid to tell the truth. If you tell me the truth and then I still get a butt cutting, it's kind of counterproductive. I got to tell you the truth, but at least show me some mercy so that I won't be afraid to tell you the truth. And remember this, for the first 18 to 21 years, you got to remember that you are her parent, not her friend. She got plenty of friends, but she only has one mother. And after age 21, you will always be a mother. But guess what? When she get grown, and y'all can become friends. And I'm going to tell you, there's nothing more rewarding. Nothing is more rewarding than to experience seeing a mother and daughter duo that are also friends. That's what you want. You want to be friends at the end of this. Even Jesus says, no longer do I call you servants, but you are also my friends. That's why it sometimes hurts when mama go, because mama is somebody that you can tell all about it. Daddy want to fix it, but mama understands. There's something about when daddy hugs you, it says, pick yourself up to the boy. But when the daddy hugs the daughter, it's like protection, everything gonna be all right. But when mama hug you, whether it's daddy or mama, you done something. When mama hug you, it ain't nothing like that. That hug says it's gonna be okay. That hug says, just come on in here. I love you. That hug, it heals wounds. That hug is like none other. And let me tell you, don't stay mad with your mama long. Don't stay mad with your mama long, because that's going to be a day when you won't be able to get that hug and you're going to wish you had it. God Almighty. Ain't nothing like it. Come on, let's help our young ladies feel this type love. That same love that a mother has for the baby the first time she lays eyes on that child. Our sons need this. Our girls need this. Can you imagine a church that has that kind of love for each other? Where we just hugged each other, where we could feel the love of Christ like a mother's love. That's when righteousness and peace kiss each other. When a mother loves. That's righteousness and peace, when that mama kisses that baby for the first time. When that daddy holds that child. That's righteousness and peace kissing each other. Can you imagine that feeling? For your family every day, for your spouse, for your children, for our black girls, for our black boys. That's the same that's the same love that Jeremiah talks about. For I know the plans, I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. Then ye shall call upon me, and ye shall go and pray unto me, and I will hearken unto you, and ye shall seek me and find me, when ye shall search for me with all of your heart, and I will be found of you, saith the Lord. And I will turn away your captivity. I will gather you from all the nations and from all the places whither I have driven you, saith the Lord, and bring you again into the place where I caused you to be carried away captive. What a love. God bless you tonight. God keep you. I pray that this helps us get stronger in our families. I pray that this is going to help us grow stronger as a church, that we may be stronger in our community and lead others in the relationship with Christ. God bless you. I'll see you next week, Lord willing.
Say it now.